reminder, everybody out there, John, we're going to be live tomorrow night. Live here in the Ed Sullivan Theater. Following the prime time January 6th committee opening presentations. It's going to be fascinating. I cannot wait.
Oh, my goodness.
I hope
wonder what's going to happen.
I hope they educate us. Educate us. Tonight, we have coming out here in a moment a brilliant actor, Chiwetel Ejiofor, is going to be here tonight.
Yes, indeed.
But before any of that, my first guest tonight is a seasoned investigator who has served as California congressman for over 20 years. Please welcome back to The Late Show, Congressman Adam Schiff. Thank you for being here. I know you and the rest of the January 6th committee are extraordinarily busy right now preparing for tomorrow's primetime broadcast of the congressional hearings. We've seen a lot of hearings over the last 5 years. 2 impeachment hearings. We've seen the Mueller hearings. How are these hearings that are going to kick off tomorrow night different?
They'll be different in a number of respects. The Mueller hearing was essentially one witness speaking in very, abbreviated fashion before the committee. Very little in terms of audio or visual or other elements to that hearing. Even the Ukraine hearings incorporated some documentary evidence in addition to live testimony. But both were characterized by vigorous infighting among committee members. This investigation has been utterly nonpartisan. We have been singularly devoted to pursuing the truth, and so you're going to see none of the kind of bickering that usually characterizes congressional hearings. You're going to see live testimony. You're going to see videotape testimony from other interviews or depositions, audio evidence, documentary evidence, hopefully woven together in a way that tells the story of how a president of the United States and his enablers, for the first time in history, attempted through a multifaceted campaign to interfere with the peaceful transfer of power. We want the public to understand how close we came to losing our democracy, and most important, the fact that we are not out of the woods. It'd be one thing if what started on January 6th or culminated on January 6th, that violent attack, had ended on the 6th. It didn't end. The effort to use the lie that resulted in that violence has continued. And if anything, our democracy is even more vulnerable today than it was on January 6th.
Now, you guys hired a fancy TV producer, a guy who used to work at ABC, to help with the broadcast. In what way is this fella helping you? And secondly, did you think you needed a fancy TV producer because the American people aren't interested in whether democracy survives?
We're not commenting on the internal staffing or how we're structuring the hearings beyond a certain degree. But look, this is a very different era than Watergate. I wish we were back in the day when the American public would sit for hours and hours at a time and watch hearings of national consequence, and they would be presented, by major networks rather than the talking heads on Fox News. But we're in a different world now, where most people get their information from social media, where we have to be able to tell the story in an engaging way, tell it in a limited period of time. The challenge we have is we have interviewed over 1,000 people. We've gathered over 100,000 documents. There's no shortage of evidence to present to the public. And the question is, how do we present it in a way that is engaging, that tells the story in a clear, compelling way? And that's what we're aiming at, just a straight retelling of what happened. So the public, which knows a lot already, it knows a piece here and a piece there, but hasn't seen how it all fits together. There were efforts to decapitate the leadership of the Justice Department and get it to do the president's will. There were efforts to put pressure on state and local elections officials that resulted in the creation of fake electors. There were efforts, of course, to pressure the vice president. Those multiple lines of effort came together in that violent attack, that last-ditch effort to slow or stop the transfer of power. And what we aim to do is to tell that story and do it in a way that will hold the public's attention.
That's what you're saying is an important point here, is that while it's called the January 6th Committee, you guys are actually studying months of, I'll use the term conspiracy, months of conspiring in order to overturn a free and fair election that was a slow motion coup that we watched happen that predictably resulted in January 6th. The only people who didn't see something like this coming were deluding themselves. And my concern is that we all saw this happen with our eyes. We saw what was happening in the months leading up to it, all the lies and the denial and the subterfuge that was happening. My concern is that we will get a lot more evidence of the things that we already know. When I'm hoping that we'll get evidence of things that we didn't know, that we'll see a completer picture that could possibly change the minds of someone out there. Will we learn things that we did not know, actions, events, parts of a conspiracy that we had not seen before?
You will certainly learn a great many things that are not in the public arena already. But you're right, the public knows a lot already, and what is so challenging, and has been really since the beginning of this Trumpist era, is that the public is exposed to one shock after another, one incredible and tragic breakdown of our democratic system after another, and you get numb with it. And I think the challenge for our committee is to break through that, to grab people by the lapels and say, we came close to losing our democracy.
We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Congressman Adam Schiff.